Hello, I hope that this is recording well. I haven't made a YouTube video like this, wow, almost for a year actually. It's been that long. I think I started my YouTube channel like August or something like that last year, and for anybody that has made videos for YouTube, you'll be aware that it's quite a strange, unpleasant, nerve-wracking kind of process at the beginning because you don't really know how people are going to respond to what you're saying. And when I made a few videos about, I thought, fairly a mixture of benign topics, literature, a couple of things about Colombian politics, I think, that not in any not with any sort of gusto, let's say it like that. The kind of comments I got sometimes would be quite mean underneath, things like, oh, you're an elitist. So I'm going to just get something out of the way right at the beginning, which is that if you don't really like listening to me because you find something about my accent particularly off-putting, there's not really a lot I can do about it. I mean, I have a particular accent because of a kind of education I received where I grew up, coming from England. Nothing I can do about it, and I don't think anybody should be judged because of their accent. I'm not elitist. I've actually stood in public squares in Colombia and campaigned for the rights of domestic workers and taken part in aspects of the peace process and things like that. So for me to be called elitist, I want to just say from the beginning, I'm not. And I'm quite against the elite or, Roscas as they work in Colombia and everything like that. So I've got that out of the way. So I'm not going to whinge anymore. And people can say what they want. They can write nasty things underneath. If it's particularly nasty, I might delete it. Because I don't see the point of just bringing such unpleasant negativity to people that are just trying to express something that they think other people might find interesting or benefit from. And I really appreciate debate. So for me, it's not debate anymore when people just start slinging insults. So anyway, sorry to get that rant out the way, but it needed to be said because it kind of put me off making videos. But what with everything that's happened this year with the pandemic and various other things, I feel like, no, I'm not going to stop making videos because somebody says, oh, you come across a certain way because you have a certain kind of accent, which is not something I can control. I'm not an actress. I can't put on a different voice. This is my voice. That's the end of it. And I'm not going to judge anybody else for their voice either. Okay, done. So obviously we've been having the pandemic all over the world. And why am I making this video? I'm making this video because I need to get a few things off my chest, I guess. And maybe anybody that's watching this might benefit from it in a small way or not, or feel like they're not the only one feeling a certain way. Anyway, in Colombia, we have been on lockdown now since, I think it began on the 15th of March. So the second week, or at the end of the second week of March, I have been completely stranded. I don't know why I'm using the word stranded, but I'm just talking out loud and I'm not going to edit this video, so whatever I say, I say. I've been stranded in this village the outskirts of a village where I live in rural Colombia, which is called El Retiro, which doesn't actually translate meaning-wise as the retreat, which is what I believed it was when I first moved here. It actually translates more as backwater, which I guess is kind of how I'm now experiencing this place. To describe exactly where I live about a 20-minute drive from this village, which is a very small, typical Antioquian Colombian village. And in order to get there, I have to drive in my car, 20 minutes. So I live up in the mountains between several villages, really, but for local jurisdiction, I belong to the village of El Retiro. So since March, I have just been stranded at home in a very rural situation in a farm, surrounded by cows and horses and the odd neighbour. And my neighbours basically fall into two categories. There are people that own properties, and then there are peasant farmers and day labourers that work on their properties. So they're the kind of two kinds of stereotypical individual that you might find where I live. When I need to go to the shops, I'm now only permitted to go into the local village, and I'm only allowed to do that based on the number of my ID card, which is a mandatory document in Colombia. I'm English by birth, as many of you will know, and in England, I think a few years ago, I don't know, probably longer than that, maybe 12, 15 years ago now. It's been a long time. Was it the Blair's government? I'm not quite sure which government, but they tried to introduce a national ID card system in England. And there was a lot of resistance to this from the public. And in the end, it didn't happen. People were quite against having mandatory ID cards. But in Colombia, that is a compulsory document. And your ID card gives quite a lot of information about you. I was going to see, is mine around here? Well, anyway, I can't hold it up for you, but basically it would include things like my date of birth, my blood type, my citizenship details, a number, on the back my fingerprint, my signature, lots of personal information about me. So I have to have this document on my person all the time. And in order to go to the shops, I'm now given a number which corresponds to the last number of my ID card, and once a week, occasionally twice a week now, that changed sort of halfway through, but usually once a week I am allowed to go shopping and buy very basic groceries in the village. Now, for anybody that is aware of what small villages are like, the kind of goods that you can buy in a small village, probably anywhere in the world, but particularly in Colombia, is obviously vastly smaller than the kind of range of products you can get in a big city or in a shopping mall. So there's, I can't really buy anything. I mean, since this lockdown began 6 months ago now, I haven't been able to buy any products for my skin because I have quite a sensitive skin, and I can only buy certain kinds of products, and none of those are for sale in the village. So I'm just talking about practical things here. My camera broke several months ago now. Haven't been able to buy a new camera, so I haven't been able to take photographs, which for me at the beginning of the lockdown was a real therapy. Like, I really liked going out and trying to take some very beautiful pictures of nature where I live, and I found that very healing, and I found sharing those pictures with other people on Instagram and other social media platforms helped me to feel connected with other people in a way that I couldn't. Normally you would go out, wouldn't you, and you would sit in a cafe, or you'd go to the pub, or here a canteen, they're called a cantina, and have a few drinks with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your friends or colleagues or whatever. That is now, impossible. So for me at the beginning of the lockdown, sharing photos and stuff was a way of connecting with other people. And when I couldn't replace my camera, for me that was quite a loss. I have to say, like, emotional loss. It was like, oh my God, like, now what do I do? And yeah, I can take pictures with my phone or things like that, but it's really not the kind of photography that I find satisfying to take. It's better than nothing. I'm really glad that I can take pictures on my phone and things like that. But it's not the same as me having a camera. Anybody that loves photography knows that it's not the same as having a proper camera. I want to focus now on the sort of civil liberties aspect of the lockdown, because when the lockdown first began, I was quite supportive of it. I think most people were. I don't think. I mean, there was a small minority of people that said, "Oh no, this is awful. We can't be locked down at home." But most of us, including myself, we were supportive of it at the beginning. But we're now 6 months into the situation, and I have to say, I now have mixed feelings about how supportive I am about it. Now, I do realise that your views about this will vary a lot depending on where you live and what freedoms you've perhaps lost or felt are infringed upon by the different restrictions that have been placed by governments on people during the lockdown. But obviously my main reference points are where I live, so how I'm experiencing lockdown, and also how members of my family or friends that are living in other countries tell me lockdown is where they live. Or photographs that I see on social media of how lockdown is. Now, where I live, lockdown is a very serious issue. It's not taken lightly. I don't think many people are breaking it. A little bit more than at the beginning, because if I go into the village now when I'm allowed to, I'll see more people on the streets. So some people, I guess, are not meant to be out, but they are out, and they're just hoping that they're not caught by the army or the police or whatever. But for the most part, people are at home. And people are afraid, and people are very afraid. People are afraid of this virus, people are afraid of getting sick. And people are afraid that if they get sick, there won't be space in the hospitals. And I guess that was the main reason why lockdown was implemented in such a strict way. The government realised, I think, very quickly in Colombia that the amount of beds in intensive care units was, the availability of that and the ability of the Colombian health system to cope with a lot of people getting sick at once was, non-existent basically. So they shut everything down. And the idea at the beginning was that shutting down wouldn't necessarily stop everyone getting sick in the end, but it might pace the rate at which people got sick, and might allow the government to prepare better for when a lot of people were getting sick, by getting more beds, more respirators, things like that. But we're now 6 months in, and I don't know, to me, the kind of preparations I see the government making have been at best pitiful, is the best word I can use. On social media, you'll see them saying, oh, fantastic, we got one respirator today in this place. It's like, okay, yeah, it's better than nothing. I'm really pleased that there's that one extra respirator which could save a number of lives. But I'd like to see more than that, particularly when the cost of me staying at home is very great in different ways. There's a financial cost in that I am restricted from the amount of work I can do. And there's also a very heavy psychological cost, and that's what I want to talk about now. This morning when I got up, I thought that I could go for my weekly shop, and I just checked on my laptop what the local mayor's office was saying about just confirming that I had the right number of the day that I could go out. And I realised that the government had changed the numbers again. They changed these numbers very frequently, which meant that actually, in theory, I could have gone out yesterday, but it would have been very hard for me to know that I could have gone out yesterday, and I can't go out today. And I felt really depressed about that. And I want to explore that a bit. It's like I am no longer enjoying going out, because when I go out, all I do is go out and buy a few basic groceries in a very small shop. If you live in England, the equivalent of my local shop would be something like the One Stop, where there's sort of, one brand of pasta, a little bit of, you can buy sugar and things like that, but you can't buy a lot of different condiments, whatever vegetables they've got on the day, which may or may not be of very pleasant quality, things like that. So I can buy very, very basic products. So it's not exactly exciting, great, it's 7 days have passed, I can now go to hit the shops, and you hit the shops, and the most exciting thing that might happen is they might have broccoli. Which is what happened last week. I was like, yes, broccoli, how exciting, I can make a broccoli soup. And I don't want to sound like I'm not grateful for that, because I'm very aware that there are people right now that don't have any food, or people that are really, really struggling. Oh, my dog's trying to come in, sorry if you hear a funny noise. I am aware that people are really struggling. However, everybody's life is being impacted on in different ways. I am not used to not being allowed to go and buy what I want to buy when I want to buy it. And at first I was okay with it, because I thought, I'm protecting the health system, I'm not, protecting other people that I might infect or that could infect me, and, we're all doing our bit. But after 6 months of just sitting at home, of not being able to go anywhere apart from to the, the equivalent of the One Stop, the local shop, I'm feeling angry. I'm actually feeling angry now, because I feel like the government has got itself into a situation now where it locked down so early, and now they keep saying we're peaking, but it's still 13,000 cases a day or something like that. So it's just going up, it's not going down basically, or what's the technical term? We're not flattening the curve, or, something like that. And of course we're not flattening the curve because although I'm abiding by the quarantine very strictly, most people clearly aren't, and I know that because I hear neighbours having parties at all the bank holiday weekends. Sometimes they invite me, and I politely decline. And if you do decline these kind of things, then you're kind of it's taboo because you're rejecting an invitation. But I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to end up in hospital here on a respirator fighting for my life. And I also don't want to unwittingly pass this nasty virus onto somebody that might die of the thing. I also feel that, and this is an issue that I want to stress, I feel that the fact that most of us have been stuck at home has allowed the government in Colombia, which was already obviously a government either coming out of or in the process of civil war when this started. So we were all used to or at least I was, where I live, used to having army around all the time, driving along a road and there being 12 soldiers with massive guns, and just kind of, for me, it would be like, I'd feel my heart racing, we'd just keep driving. And then, I don't know, it was starting to get to me. But now with the pandemic, it's even worse, because now even to go to the shops and come back, I have to actually present my ID card and be stopped by the army and wait while they sort of scan it and wait for, I don't know where they get the signal that, yes, this person can go ahead or whatever. But, it has become so draining. It's like life is literally just sitting at home all day, every day, and trying to keep yourself intellectually and emotionally well. I read and I write, and I don't really watch television or anything like that. I watch the occasional documentary on my laptop. But, it's like trying to keep yourself sane is basically now become my job. And also looking out for friends that are also, we're all having good days and bad days. And I'm not even sure if today is a particularly bad day, but today I felt like I wanted to say this. I'm really concerned that this militarization that is increasing and increasing under the guise of we're protecting everybody from the pandemic, I'm not sure it's reversible in Colombia. I'm not sure that even if, tomorrow there's a vaccine and we're all, fine or whatever, that everybody's protected. I don't see the amount of militarization and the amount of state control that has dramatically increased in the context of this pandemic being easily, I don't think it can be stripped back very easily. I have become extremely drained by living in a place where I feel like I have no freedoms whatsoever. I'm not sure what freedom I have anymore. I don't have the freedom to go out and meet people. I can't even go with my boyfriend to the shops. Not allowed. If I want to go to the shops, I have to go on my own. I can't, so I can't really have relationships. I don't have the freedom to work unless I'm able to work from home on my laptop. I can't go to university and interact with my colleagues. Everything has to be on a Zoom or all these different meeting platforms that technologically I don't really understand and I don't enjoy interacting with. I find it very depressing. In some ways, I find it even more depressing watching a person that I care about or love or a business colleague on a screen. And I can't touch them. I can't smell them. I can't feel their presence in the same way. And we're both, struggling with that feeling. And with particularly with friends, I'm able to talk about that with them. But with colleagues, it's kind of this silent hell. I'm also worried a lot about education in Colombia. I'm worried that, friends of mine that have children that take their children's education very seriously, they are struggling in the role, trying to occupy the role of teacher whilst trying to maintain businesses that are folding and, you know, losing their jobs and everything. And then at the same time, you've got children whose parents perhaps are even illiterate. How on earth is an illiterate parent meant to manage the education of their child? Obviously, it's impossible. Anyway, this video's got really long, and I don't, you know, I guess it's a bit negative. It's not that I want to be negative, but I do want to share some of these issues, and I'm really concerned that a lot of these basic freedoms, you know, the freedom to go and have a coffee with a friend in the street, you know, I'm really concerned that, particularly in Colombia, I just can't see those kind of things resuming anytime soon. You know, I think the government's got itself into a hole now, and I'm starting to wonder, are they just struggling to get out of a hole, or does it suit them to have us all under lock and key so that they can have the freedom to militarize the country and do things, you know, without us being able to protest or go out and interact with these things. Anyway, I'm sure there's more issues, and I welcome your comments, and I welcome other people's experiences from across the world. I'm going to leave it there, but take care, stay safe, and lots of love. Bye.